Oh my God, guys, James Charles is over. He's hemorrhaging, guys. Look at all that red, dude. He's literally bleeding out. Oh my God. Oh, what?
Hi again, everyone, and welcome back to James Charles Kwite video part 3 of 6, before the inevitable reboot of the franchise where the old execs had a company try to cash in on the nostalgia of an old property. Look at this little guy. Isn't he just like the best? There's a substitute doll from Pokemon. I love him. I gotta be real with you guys, as interesting as this whole situation and the emotional roller coaster it's been taking me and many other an onlooker on has been, this whole thing is really draining. Like, holy shit. The amount of moving parts involved is making my head spin like a blender. I thought we were in the winding down phase of this whole situation, which I still think we are, but this whole James Charles fiasco has picked up new life in several ways as of recent, several of which I felt deserved addressing in a proper video, and so I decided it would probably be best if I coalesced these topics into one video and kind of ran through them individually. For starters, Jeffree Star, who got in on the calling James Charles a piece of shit train by making several tweets about him being the scum of the earth and the Antichrist incarnate, and also dropping him from his merch company Killer Merch, has been called a hypocrite for making his own numerous tweets about straight boys and wanting to have epic sex time with them years ago. Also having a song named Straight Boys where he pines after said heterosexual people for 3 minutes straight, and also tweeting about wondering how big Justin Bieber's dick was when J Biebs was only 16 and Jeffree was 24. A lot of people, and Jeffree himself, has said that these were all meant as jokes, which is fair, but then there's also the footage of him grabbing onto a stranger who doesn't seem too into it and then doing something with his nuts right after it. Oh, but then some smart motherfuckers came out of the woodwork with that. Some people said that this all happened in the past, one that Jeffree Star isn't proud of, and that judging him for said things is unfair because he's grown and changed since then. Others also argued that the footage might have been a skit and the guy was in on it, which, if that is the case, then fair enough. But if the former is the case, then how come Jeffree Star is not affording James Charles that same chance? The same second chance that was allotted to him that allowed him to skyrocket to the person he is now. Especially when James is even younger than Jeffree was when he did those comparable things, and the evidence for James hunting after straight boys being less solid than the stuff that there is on Jeffree. Moral grandstanding like that when you were in the exact same position feels kind of dumb, especially when it's such a defining part of what you were ridiculed for over the course of your career, Jeffree. I don't know, the hypocrite label does seem to fit here, but everybody's a hypocrite at some point in their life, I guess. Myself included, fuck me. But in another interesting development, as of yesterday, James Charles has gone positive in subs by over 15,000 subscribers, putting him at getting more gains per day than pre-Tati and Gage drama, and the day before he went positive, he actually lost less than 25,000 subscribers, which still isn't great, but when you look at what he was dealing with before, that's certainly an improvement in losses. This comparatively large gain in subs might have something to do with perhaps the biggest thing that's happened with this whole drama since the initial Bye Sister video and James's apology, which is Tati uploading her first video since that James Charles video that exploded. Yesterday, Tati uploaded a 20-minute video entitled Why I Did It, which got 4 million views in less than like 5 hours of upload, and by now it's probably well above it. But in that video, Tati, through many tears and long, silent, and dramatic pauses that if cut out would have cut this video down to a size where I didn't have to watch it at double speed, explains in further detail why she made that exposed video in James Charles, among other things. Now, since I more than likely can't play clips of said video here without getting my shit copyright claimed up the ass like a Muppet, let me try to summarize what was said in that video. Tati starts the video by saying that she's not back to YouTube from her break yet, and that she's only hopping on to answer some questions and to clear the air or whatever, which honestly is letting an opportunity go to waste, sister. You're up 4 million subscribers, girl. Capitalize on that bitch. Get that bread. Get that diamond play button. Bye-bye, friendship. She talks about how she didn't expect the situation to reach the levels that it did, because whenever she talks about other controversies in the past, it had never blown up like this, and she thought that she would be the one taking the hit because she was going after a much larger channel than hers at the time. She also asked for the hate train to stop, including memes, nasty language, clown emojis in the Instagram comments, all of it on both sides. She said she wants a ceasefire on it permanently. No, I don't want. She states that her reasoning for making the video was less to call out a piece of pooey head for being a pooey head, but rather to try and reach someone who she felt was unreachable. Someone that she had been trying to send the same message to over and over again, and that this was a last-ditch effort to try and reach said person and act as a wake-up call to them. She expresses that she personally still does not hate James Charles and has love for him, and that it sucks watching him being turned down and her being the main originator of that. She also states that she doesn't want people to feel bad or subscribe to her because the whole thing's not about her. She mentions that if her real intent was to cancel James Charles, that she would be taking every interview she had been offered, which I'm sure there were genuinely countless countless amounts of, and in them she would be spilling the tea on all the little details. She says that the motivation behind the whole thing is much deeper than vitamins, even if that was the straw that broke the camel's back at the end of the day, and that she got defensive because of a story that has supposedly been going around about her that wasn't true? I'm kind of unclear on the details on that bit. Let me know if I'm missing something. There's one point she makes I like, where she says that on the internet, if you cry, you're faking it, and if you keep it in and power through, you're a bitch. She kind of has a point. You lose either way. It really doesn't matter what you do in your apology video or whatever you're making, you should just consider your mouth pissed at least to some degree, not equal amounts. She closes out the video by saying that there was no massive agenda behind her making the original video, and that both she and James need to address things within themselves moving forward. I'd say that accounts for roughly 7 minutes of the video's 18-minute runtime. The rest are pauses, the length of childbirth, and about as many tears as you would find during one of those as well. But I think this video was uploaded probably to try and help clear the air on the drama, because I don't think Tati, or anyone for that matter, could have guessed how big it would have gotten. But if the intention was to clear the air, I think she missed the mark, as this video feels like it's muddied the water even more on what's happening. This video for me has brought up a lot of questions about Tati's intentions, motivations, and how much she stands by her own words in this whole thing. In that, I don't know what they are anymore in a lot of it. Before the video, popular narrative was decisively against James Charles. Now I think it's swaying a little bit because of this video and a number of other things. For one, a bunch of allegations have come out about James Charles exchanging DMs with a bunch of straight boys, and a lot of them have been said or proven to be false, or the DMs themselves just weren't that incriminating as predatory behavior. Perhaps the most important one that's being shat on, though, being the one where it claimed that James Charles sexually assaulted someone in high school, where the claimant was caught faking DMs with James Charles of him supposedly confessing to the crime, where he apparently said he took the person not saying no as consent. And with that DM being fake, the whole ship lost its credibility. With what I've seen and the way things are looking, James Charles did not sexually assault anybody. I will say that without a doubt, out of this situation, a lot of fake shit about James Charles has risen because people do want clout from it, myself included. Touched a boner for it, be like. And it's hard to tell what is and what isn't fake, so it makes finding definitively hard proof of James Charles being predatory very hard to come by, and it calls into question the existence of said proof to begin with. The one example that Tati cited directly was a waiter in Seattle who was apparently straight that James was pining after, and that waiter ended up releasing his own video wherein he says that when he made out with James Charles, he did so because he was bi-curious, and also that he consented to James kissing him when he asked. But that as time went on, he became pretty sure that he was straight, so he rejected James's further advances.
At that time, I was bi-curious, and after that movie, he asked to kiss me. And I was very nervous, because I had never done anything with a guy, and I was bi-curious, so I said yes. And we ended up making out for around an hour. And my birthday was coming up on the 22nd, and he wanted to fly me out to LA. That kind of freaked me out, because at that point, I was pretty sure I was straight.
Not exactly predatory behavior. Maybe you could make the argument that afterwards, when James was telling the waiter that he thinks he's not straight in some fashion, whether by way of being gay or bisexual, is a little closer to manipulating the sexuality of straight men, but it's not really extorting them for sexual favors like a lot of people seem to believe. And because of this lack of hard evidence of James being a predator specifically, a lot of people have come into the fold calling that label into question. Everyone from Keemstar to fucking Logan Paul. In my last two videos, I've been very hesitant to call James Charles a sexual predator out and out because of those same reasons, but I do stand by what I've already said in those videos, that pretty much all of it was word of mouth at the time, but that based on some of James's behaviors, like always joking about going after straight boys, hitting on Jeff Whittick in the video he did with him, even though it seems like Jeff was not interested at all throughout the entire video, being warned by Shane Dawson and Ryland Adams about going after straight boys, though that could have been seen as a joke, the stuff with the Gage kid that had happened like right before Tati's video came out, and a former close friend of James coming out and outright saying that James had this kind of behavior. These things all add up in my head to understanding how even without solid evidence, you could come to the conclusion that James Charles is a predator, and I can understand where the outrage over that topic came from, even if it was too much too soon. And of course, the ramifications of that were fucking life-changing for James, which doesn't excuse it, but it's at least understandable where it came from. While all of this evidence is mostly circumstantial, there's a lot of it, and it certainly didn't warrant the destruction of James's career, but it does warrant further investigation into the matter, which so far has brought about mixed results. The situation is far less cut and dry than it would appear on the surface, and the amount of moving parts is a headache for anybody, and I think the most we can do coming out of it at this point is just try to remember that everybody involved is a fucking human. Everybody is just as complex as you, and it's never so straightforward and black and white. Labeling someone a through and through sexual predator is a massive commitment to make that some have been making, when the evidence involved is contestable on both sides. Shit is rough, and I really don't know what to make of this situation at this point, to be entirely honest. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. If you guys enjoyed enjoyed, be sure to drop a like, and if you're new, subscribe. Like I said, if you guys think I got anything wrong, has something to add, or that I missed something, be sure to leave that in the comments below. I have a podcast with Wild Spartans and FPS Diesel called Loud Mouse. We upload one new episode every week on Saturdays, and we're up on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Spotify. You can check me out on twitch.tv/Kwite. Did you know that today is the 10th anniversary of Minecraft, and that we're doing an Ender Dragon killing stream in celebration? Twitch.tv/Kwite. Follow that for the stream. If you want to support the channel a little more directly, you can do so by clicking that join button next to the subscribe button and donating $5 a month to get things like custom badges and custom emotes. It's totally optional, but it helps out the channel and it is much appreciated. You can follow me on Twitter @Kwite and on Instagram @Kwite.png. Links to both of those in the description below. And lastly, I also have a Discord server. Link to that in the description as well if you're interested. Anyways, this has been Kwite, and I'll see you guys next time.
Kwite!
It sure is bright out today. Time to put my sunglasses on.